Mr. Jakes, last week we heard testimony from the Treasury Board that departments didn't have to hand over their savings plans because, quote, details were still being finalized. You testified today that your powers to request information are honored in some circumstances, such as the Build Canada Homes, but that in regards to the Defence Investment Agency, those documents were refused, even though parliamentarians were asked to approve a budget which allocates funding for it. In a previous meeting, you testified, and we all understand that you are here to serve parliamentarians and that our work is impeded when your work can't be done. Section 79.4 of the Parliament of Canada Act, as we discussed at that meeting, allows the PBO free and timely access to any information under the control of a department or parent crown, and yet I believe there are still a number of departments that have not complied with your request for information so that you can do your work in serving parliamentarians. So on that basis, Chair, I am going to table the following motion, and I believe it's being sent to the clerk right now, and it will read as follows. That the committee order the production of all documents required to satisfy the Parliamentary Budget Officer's information requests 852, 859, 860, 861, 862, and 864, provided that A, these documents shall be I, deposited with the clerk of the committee within 1 week of the adoption of this order, and 2, kept in confidence by the clerk and made accessible only to the Parliamentary Budget Officer and his staff, and B, if the Parliamentary Budget Officer is not satisfied that the documents were produced as ordered, he shall promptly notify the Chair and the clerk, who in turn shall prepare a report to the House, which the Chair shall table forthwith, outlining the material facts of the matter. I'm moving it right now.
Order. And just to clarify, you're just asking for these documents to be given to the clerk in confidence, who will then deliver them to the PBO in confidence?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Khalid, then Ms. Suds, and then Ms. Goudreau.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just wondering if we can perhaps suspend while we get the wording of the motion and we can look it over. I don't want to speak without actually looking at the words.
I think it's coming out now, so it's 12:04. We'll say 12:09. We'll come back. We're suspended for 5 minutes. We have a speaker, Ms. Khalid, then Ms. Suds, then Ms. Goudreau, and then Mr. Patzer. A reminder, everyone, I will announce who's the next speaker, but I'm not going to prod or push anyone after that. Ms. Khalid, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Now, my understanding is that the documents that were requested, that are in question here in this motion, were requested earlier this month, and I would ask through you, Chair, if I can perhaps ask our witnesses, as they're handily here today, to clarify how, is there like an impending deadline that is provided, or is it more of an open-ended system of getting documents, and have they received some of these documents yet, or has it been a complete blanket silence from the departments?
Yeah, you generally can't direct our questions to the witness when we are. I'm not participating or answering in this debate, but seeing as Mr. Jakes is here, colleagues, if we don't mind, we will skip our practice. Did you want to repeat the question?
Yes, thank you for the question. So we submitted information requests to 5 departments. The deadline was initially November 19th, and we did not receive any information from those 5 departments except for the Canada Food Inspection Agency. So we did receive some information from them.
Request the
I'm sorry,
information.
we are debating the motion. We're not going to allow, a back and forth.
Helpful for me to understand where this motion is coming from, Chair, and I think
Okay.
if that's okay.
One question. We don't question our witnesses when we are having a motion, but if it helps clarify, but just the once, please, and then we can move on.
So when was it that you had sent the information request, and how many documents were you anticipating as a result for your request?
The request was sent on November 5th, I believe, and we expected a response by the 19th. Regarding the number of documents, we provided a Excel template, a spreadsheet, with the fields to fill out. So we were expecting basically 5 Excel files with the requested information.
Thank you. That is very helpful for me to understand the context of this motion, Chair. I find it a little, I just hearing the testimony today with respect to documents that are shared between departments and the PBO. We heard that there were 10,000 pages worth of documents. We've heard, and over these past 10 years, me serving as a member of parliament, just the volume of documents that are involved in this. So if a document request was made on November 5th with a deadline of November 19th, and, we talk about Excel files, well, quite frankly, my eyes usually glaze over when I look at an Excel file. But I would anticipate that this would be significant to double check, to make sure that the documents provided are accurate, to make sure that they are complete. So I'm a little bit troubled by the short deadline, and then also now with this motion to really, bring something about that I'm sure that these departments are already working on. I'm not sure if, again, as I will respect your advice there, Chair, and not ask any more follow-up questions of the witnesses, but I do wonder if there have been dates and timelines that have been provided to them with respect to when they can anticipate these documents. My challenges with this motion, quite frankly, is that I have already outlined based on the information that has been provided by the witnesses here today, which I really appreciate. The second piece of it is the subjective nature of what happens if the PBO is, quote unquote, not satisfied, and then all of a sudden it is the chair and the clerk that then decide what to do with this committee and how to proceed further. I don't think that is in the purview of the committee, and I think that perhaps that's an area that we can explore a little bit as to how to make sure that the entire committee is involved and engaged in whatever steps are taken by not just the chair and the clerk, but by all of us, ensuring the true nature and objective of the committee. 100%, we are here in this committee to hold government to account, to make sure that government spending is in purview of what our government has committed, and that it is transparent, it is open. So I understand why the PBO needs to conduct their business, but I also have concerns with respect to short timelines, and in the text of the motion, why is it that we're not quantifying, if I can say, what dissatisfaction looks like, and then also for the chair and the clerk to basically take over and decide what would happen in that very subjective assessment of the documents received, as indicated in the motion. I will park my comments there, Chair, but I do reserve the right to get back on the list. Thank you.
Ms. Sutz, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So as I review this motion, and admittedly, there's a number of different citations here with respect to requests for information. In fact, I think we have 6 different ones here, and not knowing what all 6 are actually for, or which department they are targeted for. I'm struggling with understanding, again, the timelines, and my colleague was able to ask a few questions, so thank you for providing that. I would like to ask you more questions as far as when have they committed to get you answers back. Would be a relevant piece of information. My understanding is that there was a commitment to get back in December. It is December 2nd. So it would seem to me that there is certainly an element of effort and good faith put into the efforts to get these documents. I would also question just the timing of, obviously, the budget being tabled, the BIA, and if there is, some steps in progress, i.e. parliamentary process right now with respect to approvals of these items that might be hindering the ability to respond to some of the questioning in the requests for information. Again, not being privy to all the details or being able to direct questions, it does become difficult to be able to fully assess this motion. But I would like to, I believe, based on the information that I do have, that the work is underway and there is a commitment to get this information in December. It's December 2nd. I think we might be jumping the gun here, Chair.
Thanks, Ms. Gaudreau, then Mr. Patzer.
Tout d'abord, Monsieur le Président.
First, this can go on. Do we have resources after 1?
OK. Bon, on va faire comme si on n'avait pas de...
So let's go as if we don't have resources after 1, so we have to work fast. First, we have a duty to know. Second, I did not have November 19th here. Clearly, if 859, 860, 861, and 864 are necessary for the PBO, he must have them. When it said we've gotten 10,000 pages, we don't have a lot of time to do our work, it's a lot to do. It is unacceptable for me that before 2025, before Christmas, that the PBO can't work on that in order to get back to us because we still have questions. I hear my colleagues from across the way that are saying it's very short, just a week. And I'm open to negotiation, but what is non-negotiable is that these documents must be delivered. I also heard Part B. That might worry my colleagues. But if I may ask the question, if I can ask the PBO, if they do respect the deadline, well...
1, 2, I'll allow for yourself, and then similar courtesy to the Conservative side. And we do have considerable resources going up to QP today. So please go ahead.
Parfait. Mais on va trouver un entente.
Great. We'll find something to agree upon before. The documents mentioned in the motion at the moment, will that make the difference for you? Is that what you're missing? Yes. That is why we asked for the documents. There's a direct link between the government's proposals to significantly reduce their expenses and to cut 40,000 civil servants. There's a link between that and the government's efforts to respect the operational budget, to rather balance the operational budget within 3 years. So now that they're debating on the budget, well, those are necessary data points to have. Chair, I could submit a sub-amendment, but maybe we could discuss. Maybe my colleagues across the way have more information. Will it be okay in 2 weeks? So maybe we could just put a friendly amendment in and say that before December 24th, all the documents will be sent to the PBO. So that, let's say, on January 3rd, the work will have been done before we come back on the 25th. So I'm available until 2 p.m., but can we please show people that we can be transparent?
So you're putting forward an amendment. Where are you putting that in?
Je vais le faire, hein?
In within 2 weeks. So that means before Christmas.
To 2 weeks?
Exact. Je pense que
Okay.
tout le monde va être gagnant.
Okay, so we have an amendment there. Does anyone wish to speak on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Start a speaking list on the amendment. Mr. Patzer and then Ms. Rochefort.
Okay, I mean, I think we need to be clear about something here. This is the comprehensive expenditure review requests, right? So these were used in the budget, right? And it was used to inform the budget. These documents are complete. They exist. It's not like the departments have to create something. So, I mean, if the committee agrees to 2 weeks, so be it. 1 week seems reasonable to me as is because the documents all already exist. It's not like they're having to create new documents. The CERs, the request was put in 5 months ago for them to be issued by the government to find the cost savings, and that was used to inform the budget. Mm-hmm. That's the process by which the CERs were created, by which they were used. So it's not like we're asking the departments to reinvent the wheel here. The document exists. Get the document and table it. That's all that we're asking for here. So it should be pretty straightforward. It should be very easy. It should already be in a nice tidy file on a computer somewhere where they can just simply load it into an email or put it on a thumb drive, whatever is needed, and distribute it to the clerk. It wouldn't be hard to do. It would actually take a matter of minutes. And I don't know that we need to expand it to 2 weeks, but this is a very, very, very simple elementary, like kids are taught how to do this in grade 5. Like my kids all know how to do this. This is not a hard thing to do. And so giving the information to the clerk would be very simple for the departments to do. We're not asking them to extend themselves in a manner which is unreasonable to ask. This is a very simple click and drag and deliver. That's it. Mm-hmm. So I think 1 week is very reasonable. If the committee wants 2 weeks, I guess, I don't know, I'm not going to say one way or the other, but I think 1 week is reasonable as it is.
Thank you. Ms. Rochefort.
We thank you, Mr. Chair. I would simply like to draw, I guess, the committee's attention to the letter that was issued in response to your comment, Mr. Patzer. And basically the letter reads, I just want to review it because I hadn't seen it for a while and I just read it. It says, thank you, it's written to Mr. Jacques. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me regarding your information request dated November 5th, 2025 on the planned savings from the comprehensive expenditure review by program and plan personnel reductions and details of potential service level impacts for the years 2026, 2027 to 2029 and 2030. While none of those requests are addressed to the Treasury Board Secretariat, having led the CER on behalf of the Secretariat, whose mandate includes people management across the public service, I felt compelled to reach out on behalf of my colleagues to inform you that we will not be able to provide the requested information within the timeline provided. As you know, proposed savings from the CER are subject to parliamentary approval. Once approved, they will be communicated to all relevant parties in a timely manner in accordance with the obligation of the employer to do so when an employee's position may be impacted. Circumventing this process by providing the information to a third party beforehand could compromise employees' trust in the government and jeopardize the management-union relationship. Moreover, as you can appreciate, personnel reductions have real consequences for people who serve their country and for their families. Releasing information before informing impacted employees could generate anxiety and uncertainty.
Point of order.
What?
Sorry, we have a point of order?
I believe that everything that's in this letter was already brought to us by Mr. Ali last week. I don't think we need to repeat it over. I mean, we heard all those excuses last week.
We should actually be getting to the amendment and not the original motion. So the amendment is adding another week. If we could.
I do believe that it's important to read this letter into the record because it speaks directly to the timelines
Right, but this is,
that are
we
being
are
discussed
debating
in
the amendment, not the original motion, so I really need to bring you back
It fits
to the amendment.
It's also in line with the amendment. I mean, it
No,
is
it's not. On the point of order.
There's
Sorry,
one paragraph
let me-
left. One paragraph
sorry,
left.
let me interrupt here. I decide what's relevant for the point of order. It is not relevant to the amendment. We always allow very wide berth and wide latitude for debate, but we really should. This amendment is purely 1 week versus 2 weeks, not the reason behind or not the purpose of the letter. It's the 1 week versus 2 week. I ask everyone to stick specifically to Ms. Gaudreau's amendment, or we will cut you off and move to the next speaker on the list on the amendment.
So, Mr. Chair, I conclude by saying once departments have had a chance to review decisions,
Point of order.
Sorry, we have a point of order. Ms. Jansen, please.
It seems that she's ignoring what has been said. She's attempting to reread something we already know.
Please, on the amendment, please. Otherwise, we'll have to skip to the next speaker.
well, certainly the amendment is about providing the information, and this letter is about providing the information, provides
It
data.
is not
and
relevant.
So
we have no one else on the speakers list, so we will. Okay. I'm going to remind for the last time. I call out who's on the list and who's next. It's up to you to put your name on. If not, we will go right to the vote. So, Ms. Khalid, and then I have Ms. Suds, Ms. Khalid. On the amendment, if you do not speak to the amendment, we will move on to the next person speaking, and that's Ms. Suds, Ms. Khalid, Ms. Gaudreau. Go ahead, Ms. Suds, please. On the amendment.
On the amendment, thank you very much, Chair. Reflecting, obviously, as the letter was just read, and some context around the timelines that we are talking about right now. It was shared earlier, that the 10,000 plus documents that the government has produced with budget and all that it entails last month, and the context in which these departments have been asked to produce this information. I think it's also really important, as we just heard, to give consideration to the fact that we are talking about public servants' livelihood, about their positions.
Point of order, Chair.
Yeah, I assume relevance.
This is
Yes,
absolutely
it is
relevant
relevant.
to the timelines.
It is to the motion, the change from 1 week to
1
2
week
weeks.
to
does
2
not-
weeks.
I'm sorry,
I'm aware.
I have the floor. Change from 1 week to 2 weeks does not address any issue regarding public servants' positions. That it's solely a 1 week to 2 week to provide extra time for the documents to be prepared. You're happy to continue this in the discussion on the motion, if it gets passed or not, but I have to ask, this is solely for a 1 week change, and if people cannot stick to that, then we'll move to the next speaker.
I am speaking to exactly that, Chair, and the context of having over 10,000 documents, of which our departments are have produced and now are working through with respect to these information requests. Also of important context, that as they are moving forward with their review and with the necessary reductions that have been proposed, that these are sensitive items. And 1 week does make a difference in the life of a public servant if they are going to be put on notice with respect to their workforce adjustment. So respectfully, I think this is a very sensitive topic. It is time sensitive to the public servants who do incredible work each and every day serving Canadians. And I think we need to be sensitive to that reality.
Point of order.
Mr. Patzer?
I will also just note that the original motion says it'll be kept in confidence by the clerk. We're not asking for this committee to make those documents public, so therefore nobody will be at risk of getting their termination notice by this committee and not their employer.
Thanks, Mr. Patzer. Continue, Ms. Suds.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Yes, happily will continue. As I had said, we are dealing with a substantial amount of information, and I do believe strongly that the timelines under which these are provided are important. We want to ensure that the information that is provided is timely, is accurate, and I think there have been certainly arguments made and put forward by the departments that they need the time to do exactly that. I don't see the value of rushing something and not getting complete answers or a complete picture, which would help the parliamentary budgetary officer do the work which he is intending to do with this information. So respectfully, I think we need to, give reflection to the necessary time to ensure the quality of outputs that we receive.
Ms. Khalid, Ms. Goodrow, then Ms. Block.
Thank you, Chair. So we're talking about timelines as to when documents should be delivered by. And then we're also, I know this speaks to the main motion about the quality of those documents as well. So for me, it would make more sense for us to say, you know what, let's not nickel and dime how many days and weeks we're going to give to departments to produce the documents that the PBO is requiring, although they have their own powers and their own ability to get the documents. I'm not sure why our committee needs to be involved in the first place. However, I think that perhaps if Madame Goodrow would be willing to assess, to say, you know what, like by the end of the year, 2 weeks from today, takes us to basically the week before Christmas anyway, and it would be, I think, generous, but also giving the benefit of the doubt to the public service and giving them the extra time. I doubt that the PBO will be working during Christmas days and into the new year. I hope that they'll take some time off and celebrate with their family and friends. And I think it would be more prudent for us to say by the end of this year. So I'm not sure if Madame Goodrow would take that as a friendly amendment to her amendment. To see if that's something that she would be willing to consider. I think it would be the best step forward, and so that we don't have to sit here and debate this till however long we are in this room. I'll stop there, but I reserve the right to get back on the list for the main motion.
We don't do sub-amendments. We are on the amendment. Okay. Ms. Goodrow, which would have to withdraw and then submit a new one. Madame?
La question, il faut se poser, qui va travailler entre Noël et jour de l'an?
Well, who's going to work from here to the new year? Procrastination is something everyone does. If there hadn't been a budget table, well, you can't say documents if you haven't done your analysis yet. November 19th. I hope that even in the last 40 minutes, they've been rushing to try and prepare those documents. So that to say that the PBO will be resting is saying that the others will be working. No, we have 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we'll be done on the 11th. So they can work 24/7 if necessary, but please, it has to be done before the end of the before the end of the year. There's no argument that'll change the situation. I'm ready to move things around, but I think 2 weeks is already quite generous. And if the government does not agree, that means we're going to do overtime because they're not ready. That's not good. If they have the documents, they have 2 weeks, they have to produce the documents. They'll stay on the table for 2 weeks if necessary, and then the PBO can work starting January 7th, but it must be done. And I hope we'll be here till 1 and not until 2, because it's also the government's image. I don't want to get into partisanship. Thank you.
Thanks, Mrs. Block, and then Ms. Rochford.
Thank you, Chair. Just before I begin, I'm wondering if it would be a good idea to release the Parliamentary Budget Officer and his team while we continue this debate on the motion.
Sure. But before we do, well, first of all, I agree. Thank you, Mr. Jakes and team, for being with us today. Before you go, though, perhaps we can weigh in just a couple quick questions. Is the data already available, in your opinion? Because we keep arguing back and forth about producing this information, but is it already available? And is it your intent, I know information is often released to you in confidence. Is this going to be, and we hear a lot from the Treasury Board, well, we can't release it because people's lives are being affected. Is your report or anything going to address that specifically, or is it going to be a more data-driven report without such specifics? I think that would help us make a decision better here today.
Thank you for the question. So to the best of our knowledge, the data are available. The explanation provided to us is the explanation provided in the letter that was written by the Comptroller General, that the data are available, and at the same time, from the government side, there are administrative issues that prevent them from sharing it with us. I would also say, in terms of confidentiality, we do hold confidential data on a regular basis. Most notably in the case of national defense, we will analyze that data and then publish a report in aggregate without releasing or violating any of the confidentiality. In terms of the data being forecast and needing to be finalized, we receive regular updates of the Defense Capital Plan from National Defense. That's a forecast. So numbers are always in flux. It's the budget itself, budget 2025, is in flux. And from our perspective, analyzing those figures, although they are subject to change, and they will change, because the numbers in budget 2025 will not be the numbers that people see in the public accounts once the Auditor General goes through and audits them. It certainly doesn't, from our perspective, change the context. I think the last thing, there was a comment made with respect to our ability to obtain the data and it not being the purview of the committee. We tried. So we tried, and under the Parliament of Canada Act, we decided that we would use a legislative mechanism under the Parliament of Canada Act that tells us to go to the Speaker of the House and the Senate. The Speaker of the House then in turn, I believe it was last week, then referred it back to parliamentarians. So what's happening here, to the best of our knowledge, from a legal standpoint, is precisely what should be happening under the Parliament of Canada Act. Parliamentarians weighing in on a determination on the part of the government that the data exist, they're pertinent to financial decision making, the Parliamentary Budget Officer should have access to the data, and the government has decided not to provide it to the Parliamentary Budget Officer working on behalf of parliamentarians.
Point of order, Chair.
Yep, sorry, Mr. Jakes. Go ahead.
Sorry, I do appreciate that very lengthy response from Mr. Jakes. I'm sure that it's very helpful. I'm also trying to understand how that plays in with the motion that we're discussing here. I mean, again, you know, that we
Yeah, it's
started
just-
this meeting.
It was in
Sorry.
response to my questions.
I-
That's
100%.
what it is,
I
and
don't
that's
think
not a
that-
point of order.
I don't think that was
I'm
an
sorry,
answer to your question,
That's not
though.
a point of order,
I-
but it.
I mean, we're talking
Okay.
about relevance. We're
Mr.
debating a
Jakes,
motion.
I'm sorry, I have the floor, Ms. Khalid. I would ask that you stop interrupting me.
You, Mr. Chair,
I
it's
stated it's not a
I
point
get
of
it.
order,
Sure, I know.
and it was a response to my questions. If you're, are you done with the answer, Mr. Jakes? Perfect. Well, Mr. Jakes and team, have a wonderful Christmas. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you, I guess, hopefully in the spring for sub-Cs. Thank you very much. We will go to Mrs. Block now, and then I have Ms. Rochefort.
Thank you very much, Chair. I would simply say this. On this side of the table, it's obvious that we believe the role of the Parliamentary Budget Officer is extremely important in ensuring that we as parliamentarians can do our work in holding the government to account and ensuring that Canadians are getting value for their money. Having said that, I would also say that we see moving from 1 week to 2 weeks as a friendly amendment to the motion that I put forward. Thank you.
Ms. Rochefort and then Mr. Gasparo.
I have no further comments. I'll leave my time to Mr. Gasparo.
To rush a government department to provide information, Chair, when it's not fully ready, isn't probably the best
Point of order.
way.
Sorry, excuse me,
Yeah,
go
sure.
ahead.
Yeah, just want to clarify because Mr. Ali said that they were complete and that he was holding them until ASAP, which whatever that means. But he told us
Thanks,
last week that they were ready.
I'm sorry, that's not a point of order. Go ahead, Mr. Gasparo.
No,
The minister told us they were ready
Okay.
last week.
That's not a point of order. It's back to Mr. Gasparo.
So when the documents are fully ready, then they can be provided. I don't think anyone is withholding them unduly, and no one is saying the documents will not be provided. It's just taking a period of time to get them to the actual to get them to the PBO. But no one is denying that the documents will be provided. So if we just give a little more time, the PBO will get them, and he'll be able to do his work. But no one's saying he will not get it. So is there some room there for some additional time?
On the amendment to change it from 1 week to 2 weeks.
Mr. Gasparo?
No.
Ms. Khalid? No. Madame Rochefort?
No?
Ms. Sudds?
No.
Ms. Block?
Oui.
Ms. Jensen? Yes. Mr. Padzer? Oui. Madame Gaudreau? Oui. Yeas pour 4, 4, and nays contre 4, 4.
I will say yes. So the amendment carries. So we're on to the amended motion. I have on my speaking list, I had Ms. Gaudreau, Mr. Patzer, Ms. Rochefort, Ms. Khalid. And Ms. Sudds.
Je retire, je vais le replacer à la
We're
fin
on
de la
the-
liste.
I'll put my name at the end of the list.
Sorry, on the amended motion. It's back. I have you top of the speaking list.
Moi à la fin de cette liste-là, s'il vous plaît.
Sorry.
Mike.
Sorry. I have Mr. Patzer then.
Yeah, I'll just keep my remarks brief. I mean, Minister Ali came to this committee and said he had the documents. They're complete. the notice was given 5 months ago to create the documents. So departments have had 5 months to prepare this information. They've prepared it. It's complete. The minister said so himself last week here at this very committee. He's holding them. Ms. Rochefort, you're reading the reason they are holding it, which was the same excuse the minister gave. We just heard from Mr. Jakes about timely access to information, how he holds it in confidentiality. This motion, I'll just reiterate to members, says it goes confidentially to the clerk, only the clerk, not to any of the members of the committee, and then to the PBO. That's it, to be held in confidence. This is a sound motion, and I think that we can all support it. You wanted more time, you got more time, you voted against adding more time, which I found interesting, but nevertheless, this is a pretty straightforward motion. Like I said, it's the Treasury Board minister actually is the one that's holding the information and not releasing it. These individual departments have actually fulfilled the CERs, and it's the TBS minister that has the information. So, like I said earlier, it's a click and drag exercise onto a thumb drive, off to the PBO, done. It should take all of 30 seconds to do it. Thank you.
Ms. Rochefort, then Ms. Khalid.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I simply want to come back to very basic information that was provided. Basically, in the letter, it was quoted that once departments have had a chance to review the decisions, update their plans where relevant, and once the budget has received the support of Parliament, implementation, including workforce changes, will begin in a transparent and respectful manner. And this is the key line here. Back to Mr. Patzer, this will ensure that we are providing you and your office with accurate and reliable information. That's what this committee wants, is accurate and reliable information, and they promised to do so by early December. So that's why I say there should be no timeline. The timeline is in that letter. It is reasonable, and I very much in favor of this letter that was provided. Yes, I am, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Khalid, then Ms. Suds.
Yeah. We don't have the French, though. We don't have the French yet, but you can probably move it from the floor, right? Thank you, Chair. Just trying to figure out why. No, again, I take the points that Mr. Patzer has made, that the documents in question will be held in the strictest confidence with the clerk. And I also take the points that that Mr. Jakes had mentioned, that that he wasn't able to access the documents based on some administrative challenges, as his words, not mine. Sorry, I try my level best not to speak over anybody, and I would appreciate if I would be given that same courtesy, Chair. So my understanding with this is that
But please continue.
Thank you, Chair. So my understanding with this motion is that we are trying to get speedy access, quote unquote, to the Parliamentary Budget Office for the listed documents as are enumerated in the motion. And then the motion goes on to say that, well, if the PBO is not satisfied with the quality of the documents, which none of us as committee members will have the opportunity to review, then he can go to the chair and the clerk for remedy. Now, my thinking is that if that is the case, then I think it should be a decision made by the entire committee, not just by the chair and the clerk, because we are a committee of parliamentarians representing all parties in the House, where we make decisions. I would hope that we would make them more on a consensus based. And I think that it would be prudent for us to consider that if we are going to be overstepping our purview as a committee, that we make sure that we're involving all members of the committee in making such decisions, because when somebody is saying that they are not satisfied with documents, that it's a very subjective approach, and as a committee, I think it would be best served if we set aside perhaps some time, if the PBO does come back to say that he's not satisfied, that we set aside some time to discuss the reasons why he's not satisfied. I'll park my comments there, Chair. Thank you.
Ms. Gaudreau, please.
Very much, Chair. And listening to my colleague here and the line of thinking around the reporting back piece of the parliamentary budgetary officer, I think it would be prudent, if you will, if there was a concern, that those concerns came back to committee. If it is this committee, ourselves as parliamentarians who are helping to facilitate, ensure that these documents are received, then I think we are best suited then to then hear the outcome from the parliamentary budgetary officer as to what he received and whether he is satisfied with the documents that he has received. So having said that, Chair, I would like to put forward hopefully a friendly amendment to the amended motion, simply to say that, reading as it is, but as we come to Part B, modifying it to read that if the parliamentary budget officer is not satisfied that the documents were produced as ordered, he will promptly notify the chair and the clerk, who in turn will ensure that the committee set aside time to discuss next steps.
Everyone clear on that? Do you actually have in writing you want to send to the clerk and then forward out, or are we clear?
A minute, but we can do that, yes.
Yeah, please. We'll just start speaking order with Mr. Patzer on it while Ms. Suds prepares that for us.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I find that to be a very interesting amendment to the motion, because I think essentially what it does is write into the motion that the government will have the opportunity to just filibuster out the rest of the session out of our meetings on that if the parliamentary budget officer says that the documents were incomplete or, heaven forbid, redacted, right? I mean, we know that the government loves redacted documents and loves to send them out, right? So this is nothing more than just programming in a filibuster for the Liberals to make sure that the information is not fully released if they don't want it to be. And it's nothing more than that. So I just put that on the record for Canadians to understand that all this is just writing in a filibuster. That's all.
Great to have Ms. Gaudreau. Are you going to send that to the clerk? Thanks.
Oh my, Chair. As we say in Quebec, it's, well, you tried your best. Who am I to judge if it's good or not, those documents? We have to see if the documents have been sent over, if they're what has been asked for, and if the person receiving the documents is satisfied with them. Does he have what he needs to do his work? I've asked a dozen times, and he's saying it's coming, it's coming. This suggestion is like saying, oh, we can't forget before we leave for Christmas, because it was obvious it was coming, it was on the way. We're just focusing on it so that it gets done. Otherwise, if we add time onto our report, well, I have déjà vu. What are we afraid of? Do they want to hide things? So if we stretch that time out, I'm not interested in not having transparency. It's just a reminder that in 2 weeks, the PBO needs his documents so he can do his work. It's confidential, and bada bing, bada boom. We'll send the PBO the information he needs. So no.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull up the copy of the motion itself and what the amendment will do. So the amendment as tabled right now is speaking to specifically Section B of the motion, where it says, if the Parliamentary Budget Officer is not satisfied that the documents were produced as ordered, he shall promptly notify the Chair and the Clerk, who in turn shall prepare a report to the House, which the Chair shall table forthwith, outlining the material facts of the matter. I think all that this motion, this amendment is trying to do is to say, hey, OGO, the mighty OGO, we don't just have a chair and a clerk, we have lots and lots of members from all parties in this committee, and we try to make sure that we're making the decisions together. You know, as per my conversations with many of you that are willing to have conversations, I try my level best to be collaborative, to find solutions. I do want to clarify for all members on this committee that we don't represent the government here in this committee. I know I certainly don't. I am here to fulfill the objectives of this committee, to ensure that there is transparency and that we are able to do our jobs and hold the government to account in terms of the amounts that are spent. We know that this year has been a little unprecedented based on when the budget was tabled, with a real, I think, mix-up, and I'm sure that our public service and bureaucrats felt it a little bit more than we did in terms of how numbers were put together, data sets being a little bit different given the time of year, etc. So, I mean, just going back to the facts, is that November 5th, as per the PBO, they made a request with a deadline of November 19 of, I believe it's five different departments. And then on November 19th, not having received it, and as per the admission of the PBO themselves, they said that it was due to administrative challenges that they were not able to receive it. And when we don't know the extent of communications with the relevant departments in terms of, you know, whether the departments are working on it or are they outright refusing to provide the information, as I have expressed, I find this motion to be a little preemptive. However, if that is the consensus that we are trying to build in this committee, then I think that we should definitely be supporting this amendment to say, you know, instead of the subjective, I don't even know how you would analyze whether somebody is satisfied with documents or not. Is it based on a quantitative list of documents? Is it based on the quality of the documents? Is it based on, oh, that person looked at me wrong? We don't know what the satisfaction rate would be. Is it on a scale? Is it a yes or no? So I would really like to really, I think, expand this to the entire committee instead of just to the chair and the clerk and the PBO, because I think that we should all factor in, all of us, as to what satisfaction or dissatisfaction looks like, what those parameters are, you know. And I appreciate that the motion takes into account the confidential nature of the documents and that it will be only the clerk that looks at it. However, I do believe that, as we talk about accountability and transparency, I believe that all public office holders should be held to that same level of transparency and accountability. And if the parliamentary budget officer presents himself as somebody who is not satisfied with the documents received, then I think the committee has a right to know why he was not satisfied or what were the parameters under which his satisfaction level would have been met. So I do support this amendment because I think it is more inclusionary and really brings the committee as a whole with respect to enforcing and reinforcing the transparency objectives of this committee, the accountability objectives of this committee, and hopefully the inclusionary objectives of this committee as well. So, Chair, I through you would encourage members to support this amendment because I think it is one that is healthy and one that includes the entire committee, not making partisan hay out of something. I think it's better for us to all be included in making those decisions. I'll park my comments, Chair, there, but I do reserve the right to get back on the list.
Mr. Gasparo.
Thank you. And I just want to clarify something for the record, Mr. Chair, and Mr. Patzer knows I have a great deal of respect for him. I have the quote that the minister, a direct quote from the minister when he was at committee and when he was asked the question that you referred to, Mr. Patzer. And his direct quote was, "I will provide you with the information as soon as possible." We have finalized that. That was the direct quote. So there was no specific timeline provided when. No, but I'm just saying that,
Okay,
that you.
it's Mr. Gasparo's floor, please.
No, but I'm just saying when you raised your point of order, Mr. Patzer, you said there was a timeline provided by the minister, and that's not completely accurate. And I just want to correct it. I just want to correct it for the record. That's all I'm saying.
Briefly, go ahead.
All I suggested was that the documents were complete. I did not say that there was a specific timeline associated with it. So please don't put words in my mouth. Thank you.
I am judging. When you're chair, you can decide, but you're not. It's not a point of order. Mr. Gasparo has the floor. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to say, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Suds, then Ms. Rochefort.
Thank you, Chair. So as I'm listening to the debate and I'm reflecting on OGO and, the mandate of the work that we do here, and I think OGO exists precisely to examine government operations, examine public spending, estimates, departmental work, performance. And, I think if the PBO receives insufficient information from departments, that is squarely within OGO's oversight role. OGO is Parliament's primary forum for examining government operations, and it should be the first body that is informed of any difficulties so that it can exercise our oversight capabilities or responsibilities appropriately. I would also argue that it ensures natural or fairness for departments, if you will. So if the PBO goes directly to Parliament or to the Speaker, departments may not, or may appear, I should say, to be non-compliant without necessarily having had the opportunity to substantiate or explain the rationale behind any delays. I think it's an important point to raise and important for them to be able to address any concerns. And I think OGO provides a venue to hear both sides of that before we need to escalate to Parliament. I would also say that it avoids coming to OGO and us doing the work that we are mandated to do here, avoids unnecessary escalations and potentially misunderstandings from the public. So going straight to Parliament elevates the issue immediately to the parliamentary privilege level, really, but it could be unnecessarily. So OGO gives us the opportunity to seek clarifications, gives us an opportunity for hopefully constructive dialogue, gives us an opportunity to resolve these issues, and also, frankly, to depoliticize discussion before it becomes a larger parliamentary matter. So I think most information issues can be resolved here at this table with OGO without needing to escalate to the House, which protects Parliament from unnecessarily privileged disputes and preserves our focus on substantive oversight. I would also point that
Sorry, let me just interrupt you for a second. The email's gone out from the clerk with the wording. Sorry, please go ahead, Ms. Suds.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, as I was saying, I think there's a number of very valid reasons why, OGO is the primary and should be the body which would be a forum for resolving any sort of issue if the parliamentary budget officer was not satisfied. Having said that, I think we're happy to let this amendment go to a vote and to move the following amendment.
We can't. We're debating the amendment.
Debating the amendment. So apologies, Chair. I'm multitasking, as I'm sure you can appreciate. Let me just finish off, if I may, with one additional thought, and that is that this forum and OGO, I think, gives us as parliamentarians sitting on this committee an ability to get early warnings, if you will, if we feel like departments are delaying, if information is incomplete, if there are problems. The committee has the ability to call witnesses, to interact with the parliamentary budget officer, to ensure that documents are provided, to ensure that the parliamentary budget officer is able to do his work. And that is entirely, I think, the approach that we should be taking, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Ms. Rochford and Mr. Patzer.
I would really like, Mr. Chair, to thank my colleague for such a great overview of the mandate of OGO and very comprehensive in terms of in view of this discussion that we're having today. I thought that was just excellent. For me, I just want to make sure that I understand where we're at in our debate. And if I may I just want to reread, if I can, the motion just to make sure I want to make sure that that's where we're at this point in time.
I'm going to interrupt you. I'm not sure we're dealing with the amendment to the motion.
Okay, so we're ready then to take it to a vote. Thank you.
To your time, I have Mr. Patzer.
Pardon me, I just still have we still have our colleague that just stepped out for one moment, and so if I understand correctly, this motion will have two parts. Then is that correct? There is the first part.
Ms. Rochford, I'm going to interrupt you. We're dealing with the amendment. Okay, the amendment. We're not playing around games with what the motion is. We're on the amendment brought in by your member.
So I still have the floor. Pardon me, just a second. So I'm clear on terms of the. So basically,
On the amendment, please.
So basically, there is a motion that has been amended by my colleague, Mrs. Suds, and
We're debating the amendment.
we're debating the amendment at this point. And so. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Call the vote, Mr. Clerk.
Speaking English
Call the
is
vote.
exhausted.
Yep.
My hand was up, Chair.
Okay, the vote's been called. Ms. Rossford said go to the vote. I called the vote with the clerk. There's no point of orders.
Mr. Gasparo?
The vote started.
Mr. Gasparo?
Yeah. On the, yes.
Just on the amendment.
Yes.
Not the amended motion, on the amendment.
Madame Rochefort?
Yay.
Ms. Suds?
Yay.
Ms. Block?
No.
Ms. Jensen?
No.
Mr. Padzer?
Nope.
Et puis Madame Gaudreau?
Non.
Okay, yeas pour 3, and nays contre 4, 4.
Okay, the amendment's defeated. We're back to the amended motion, which is the original, but stating 2 weeks. So I do not have a speaking list for that. Are we ready to go to a vote on that? Go to the vote.
Mr. Gasparo?
On the amended motion.
On the amended motion.
We didn't even have a chance to talk about it.
Yeah.
I said the speaking list was exhausted. I asked for speakers. No one said anything. We went to the amendment vote. There's no point of orders during a vote. Please continue with the vote, clerk.
Mr. Gasparo?
No.
On the amended motion.
No.
Ms. Khalid?
Okay. I'm sorry, colleagues, we're having the vote. You can comment afterwards, please.
Ms. Khalid?
I took a health break. I would like to know what I'm voting on.
We're voting on the motion as amended.
And the amendments are,
The one amended by Ms. Gaudreau. So that's what we're voting on right now.
okay, and the amendment that Ms. Suds had passed did not.
Did not pass. Please continue with the vote, sir.
Ms. Khalid?
I vote no.
Madame Rochefort?
No.
Ms. Suds?
Nope.
Ms. Block?
Yes.
Ms. Jensen?
Yes.
Mr. Padzer?
Yes.
Madame Gaudreau?
Oui.
Oh, yeas pour 4, 4, and nays contre 4, 4.
Yes.
Do you want to do the estimate?
Yep, the motion passes as amended.